Yeah guys, I'm here with a short video about this massive power bank of 133 watt hours, and the brand is HANGXIN. Never heard about that, but the specs look absolutely impressive. So we have a whopping standard 36,000 milliamps here built in. That's absolutely huge compared to normal standard 10,000 milliamps power banks. Also exceptional is the powerful 65 watts PD input and output. So on one hand we can charge this power bank very fast, and we can also use it to charge really powerful devices, for example laptops, iMacs, these things. And when we even need more power, up to 150 watts, then we can use the AC outlet. That's something which I really like. USB power is nice, but sometimes we need some AC power. And so is that we can power a lot of devices which we couldn't power with a normal standard power bank. So it's more like a power station than a power bank. But it's still a rather small one, as we can see. Of course, we don't have the capacity of a full-size power station. That's just not possible, because power needs size and weight. And that's also something which I really like here, that they have been trying to keep the weight really low with only around 3 pounds. And you can see it's also really flat, so that would definitely fit also in a backpack or so. If you want to go for a longer trip, maybe add a solar panel or so, and then you can store a lot of power here inside. Maybe you can use it even for a small coffee maker, small cooker to heat up some meals outside in the wood. Of course, with everything which is using a motor, especially with a compressor, we have to be very careful. So of course it's not recommended to use it for a fridge, not even a small one, or a wine cooler, even though they are using usually below 100 watts, but peak starting power can be up to 1000 watts. Yeah, this thing looks absolutely amazing, and it's rock solid built, and it's also super easy to be used. We just press here, then we see the charge indicator. Yeah, I think it has full charge here, and we see the USB ports here, and when we long press here for a little bit, we see the green light here, and we can hear a little bit the ventilation here in the back, but definitely not too loud, just a little bit. And then we have an activated AC port here, and it's even a 3-prong, which allows to use even devices which are requiring grounding. But you have to be careful, of course, because when we run it like that, then it doesn't have a grounding. So it just allows to use such devices. Usually not a real problem, but that's another reason why not to use anything with a motor or compressor, because that was actually the reason why they invented the grounding. And so here a little bit closer look at the set. Of course we get also an instructions manual, even though it's really super easy to be used. Here next pages. I mean, it's always recommended to read everything quickly before you start using it, and I mean it's definitely not a lot. And we get also modern USB-C to C charging cable, and as a nice extra we get this 20 watts PD charging block. And of course not to forget this really nice case. It's almost like a hard case, still very lightweight, definitely perfect for travel. There's just one very important thing. If you're planning to use this for a trip where you're using an airplane, usually maximum allowed capacity is 100 watt hours without approval, but above 100 watt hours up to 160 watt hours, usually airline approval is needed. So better check with the airline before you book a flight. Here we can also see the details regarding specs, what we have regarding the input and output. Of course, I'm not going to test every port here during this short video, but I'm definitely testing the PD, so let's turn it on here. And so here we have the result. You can see support for quick charge 2.0, 3.0 up to 12 volts, and PD up to 65 watts. And of course, most important here, PD trigger voltage. We can see 20 volts. But that's just a protocol. We want to see if it also works in real life. We are at 5 volts, 9 volts, 12 volts, 20 volts, that's the maximum. And in theory there's a lot of safety built in, but of course we want to test that here. So we are at 20 volts, and so we start to increase the power consumption here. We are at 20, 30, 40 watts. Now increasing slowly. 50 watts, 55. We have 60 watts. Can we increase to 65? We have 64. Yeah, and I would say right at 65 we had a drop out. So I'm reducing the power. So what's going to happen? It doesn't come back automatically. What happens when we press the button? Does it come back? Still not back here. Do we have to be worried? No, actually not. But we have to really unplug the USB-C or PD and plug it in again. And now the power is back. And by the way, I've already repeated this test a couple of times. And so that proves that the device hasn't been damaged. So we have really nice protection here built in. Now let's also check in real life how much power we can get into this Lenovo laptop, which can be charged with PD up to 100 watts. So I'm plugging this in here. Of course, for USB power, we don't have to turn it on. And we see that it's increasing and now showing a charge of 62 watts. I don't know if you can see that, zooming in here a little bit. So you can believe me, of course it's upside down, but it's definitely 62 watts. Okay, and so here I have a configuration which you can use to test up to 150 watts. You can see 25 volts at 6 amps would be 150 watts, but of course we are not using that now. Everything is just idle. We have activated AC power, so everything is powered from here, from this power bank or power station. And so I activate the power, but it's still not consumed because only now I start consuming the power. And you can see here we have the power in watts. And so we are consuming 50 watts now, and we are already above 100 watts. Everything coming from here. Let's increase that. 130 watts, 140 watts. Going a little bit higher, 150 watts. You can see the cutoff has been exactly at 150 watts, exactly matching the specs. And I've already repeated this test over and over again. So we have also proved that also the AC power supply has a really good overcurrent protection here. Turned it on again, you can see comes back to power. And another very important thing to see here is now we are pretty much at 0 watts consumption. I've turned down everything and the AC power is still on. With some other devices, especially small power stations which I had, which also delivered AC power, they went into some kind of a sleep mode after a couple of minutes and prevented that I could really use it reliable. So here much different, so much better here. Yeah, so from everything what I've seen so far, everything looking rock solid, absolutely awesome. It's beautiful, it's powerful, has quite some capacity, comes with a lot of accessories, even this really nice case. So it's a full recommendation from my side, so you can buy it directly here from Amazon. I hope I've been able to help you a little bit with this video, and thanks for watching.